Good afternoon, everyone. It's Monday, and I just thought nice opportunity to give some updates to the school, give you some messages of hope, give you some sense of where we are in terms of COVID-19 and the expectations that we have for the community and most importantly the boys. It's day 5 of your academic program, being Monday the 6th of April, and I trust that each and every one of you has developed a good routine, that you're sitting down in the mornings, that you've managed to cope with the work that's been sent to you by the staff, and that you're following your timetable to the best of your ability. Gents, the reality is to date we've only actually lost 7 school days. The 4 days from last week and then the 3 days from the end of term 1. So what is important is that I don't want any of you to start panicking or to be particularly worried about the loss of academic time. Obviously, we're all concerned about the COVID-19 and the effect that it's having on the country, both from an academic point of view for us as schoolgoers, but there's a bigger picture, and we need to be concerned about the health first and foremost of all our countrymen, and then we can start worrying about when we get back to school. We need to have every faith in the President that this lockdown is going to have the desired effect. I must say that I've been particularly impressed with the Minister of Health and the manner and approach in which he has tackled this, what can only be described as a very stressful time for all of us. It is frightening to see the devastation that this virus has caused across the world, and once again we must echo our thoughts and prayers to all communities, all countries that have in any way, shape or form been affected by COVID-19. Particularly our thoughts and prayers go out to those families who have lost loved ones. I'm confident and remain confident that we're going to get back to school probably in early May. And having had a look at the timetable, as I've said before, I remain confident that we will catch up all of this work. The staff are presently compiling more work should that need arise, and during the course of next week we will get that work out to you through the same channels of communication we've used before. That being the D6 communicator, parents' email addresses. We'll be placing the links on the school website, www.kes.co.za, and we will try our best to distribute this work on known WhatsApp groups and WhatsApp numbers that we have for various boys and that the staff have. One of the most pleasing aspects of this COVID-19 has been the wonderful community spirit that we have witnessed throughout the country, and on a micro scale, the wonderful community spirit we've seen at King Edward VII. An appeal went out last week for data and for old boys who'd wanted to do something to donate funds towards data so that we are able to support our less privileged members of our society and to try and get data and, if need be, devices to the boys who don't have. There's been an incredible response to this, and I'm very pleased to tell you that the one thing our boys don't have to worry about, I mean those boys who don't have any data, is that there is sufficient funding to get data to you. So I again appeal to all the boys to reach out to your fellow classmates, boys you know, and those that don't have data to get hold of Mrs. Kath Hammond at the school, and her email address is freely available and readily available on all our school websites. Kath Hammond in the admissions office, and she will send some data to you and to those boys who obviously need. Again, gents, let's make sure that the boys who really need this data are the ones who get it. Today's message is one of hope, and I bet many of you have been laughing your heads off for the last few minutes at me wearing my Liverpool shirt. I wear it with a great sense of pride, as always, but today I'm wearing it because it's a sign of hope. I remain hopeful that this COVID-19 lockdown across the world will come to a close sooner rather than later. I'm hopeful that Liverpool, after 30 years, will get to lift the Premiership trophy. I remain hopeful that all the boys who've had dreams and aspirations of a winter sports season will get to play their sport when we return to school. I remain hopeful that some clever scientist, some clever person somewhere in the world will find a vaccine, will find a treatment, will find a way of dealing with this pandemic. And I remain hopeful that this will be found sooner rather than later. Gents, it's been difficult. I think it's been difficult for all of us. Being locked away in the confines of your own home has some romantic illusions at the beginning, but I can tell you after 9 or 10 days now, a lot of that romance is quickly disappearing. The ability to be with one's friends, to be with one's extended family, and although we're able to do video calls and WhatsApp video messages, etc., and learn about Zoom and various platforms now that we can communicate visually on, that human touch is something that I seriously have missed, and believe it or not, I've missed the boys. It's part of what we do as educators. It's part of our life, and I'm looking forward to the day when we're all able to reconnect and collect in the school quadrangle and welcome each other back, and I trust that we're going to do so with the knowledge that members of our community have not been too adversely affected by this virus. Over the past few days, I've done a tremendous amount of reading and seen some wonderful motivational videos, and I'd like to share 2 of those with you this morning. One was by Paddy Upton, well known to many of you probably as a cricket coach, but he's a well-known life coach and motivator, and a fantastic public speaker. Paddy has sent out some videos on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you'll find them on YouTube, where he's looked at how do we deal with these kinds of situations, and he's equated it to some sports teams and to sports injuries, and he puts out 3 or 4 relevant points. One, and the first one, which I've tried to adhere to, is cutting down on watching too much news and absorbing too much social media, particularly on this topic. It can be very negative, it can be draining, and I think it's one of the things that I've really taken on board, and it's made a significant difference. I think it's very important to stay up to date, but one must not be bombarded by too much of this negative media. He also talks about being focused on the present, not worrying too much about what could have been and what should have been and what might have been, but rather let's focus on the present. Make the best of your current situation. Gents, we've got an enormous amount of time now to reflect on Term 1 work, to spend an inordinate amount of time reading, even if all you do is read and read your set works, improve your reading skills, work on those small areas of your academic program that have perhaps been missing. Go back and redo a lot of your work. You've got that time on your hands. Get really stuck into that, and I think that's a very good point. Be focused on the present. Make the best of today's situation. The third point he made is we'll all get through this. As tough as it may seem right now, we will all get through this. And I think we're going to get through this, and we're going to be a whole lot better for it in the end. I've certainly learned new skills. I've learned that Zoom now is not just something you find on a camera, but it's a wonderful platform through which I've been able to connect with staff and have meetings. Another wonderful clip I saw on YouTube is from a well-known South African adventurer, Peter van KES. And he put out a particular message to the matric students, and that is well worth watching. Again, you'll find it on YouTube, Peter van KES. And he used some real life experiences, some real tough situations he's been in himself, and I think his advice is very, very good. So I would encourage you to go and have a look at that. Excuse me as I just reflect on some notes. And I don't want you to stress, gentlemen. It's important that you stay focused on your schoolwork. You stay focused on your now. Paul Galbraith, the school psychologist, sent out some details last week about the why and setting some goals, using SMART in order to do that. And I really encourage you to continue to set your goals for this time now. Hopefully when the lockdown is lifted, we'll be able to reevaluate our other goals at school and our winter sports season, our plays, the pipe band participation, etc., etc. We will plan a new year, and we will come out of this a whole lot stronger. That I can assure you, gents. I just want to encourage you to stick to your routine. Please, please, please work hard from sort of 8 in the morning until 2 o'clock. Follow the daily routine. Follow your timetable. I remind you that today is day 5. Keep working at it. I know that it can be challenging at times. I'm sure that mom and dad are looking over your shoulder. And again, I urge parents to give your boys that space. Allow them to develop their own routines. You can give them guidance, but self-discipline is a huge part of what we do at King Edward. In closing, stay fit. Henny Liebenberg from the High Performance Center has also sent some guidelines on how to stay fit. I fortunately have a little exercise bike at home, and that's been my saving grace. I watched a clip this morning of a gentleman who ran a 100-kilometer race, well, not a race, but ran 100 kilometers in his garden yesterday, raising money for cancer. And he was able to do a 140-meter loop in his garden, and he completed a 100-kilometer ultra marathon yesterday. So there's space for all of us. Be innovative. Remember to be kind. Reach out to all members of our community. I will send another video after Easter weekend, and those of us who celebrate the Christian faith, I wish you a blessed Easter this weekend. Be mindful of what that weekend is all about. There's some wonderful online church services that one can access. For the rest of our community, good luck for this week. Stay safe, and God bless all of you. Take care.